With our freshly stamped passports and the storm past, we slipped our lines to start exploring the Atlantic coast of France. First stop was an inland sea called the Gulf de Morbihan via a quick stopover at the Ile de Gruy to break up the trip.
Morning coffee and pastries on Bacchus. Yep. We're off down the coast to the Ile de Gruy. And it's a bit of a grey day out here, but the wind has died down from what it was 2 days ago, which is lovely. And it seems like all of Concarneau is out for a sail today too, so we're in good company. But we're doing well. We're on a broad reach. We're doing 6.5 knots, and we should be in Ile de Gruy shortly after lunch. We've got a little bit of kite envy on Bacchus today. It's being passed by a French guy over there with his nice looking bag up. We don't have a spinnaker on Bacchus. We'd like one, but we didn't get round to organising it, and the new ones were a bit too expensive. So we've come as far as the Ile de Gruy today from Concarneau, and it's a pretty little island. There's a really lovely white sandy beach in there, and we've got a few other boats here with us for company. The only issue is that the anchorage doesn't give very much shelter, and there's a little bit of a swell rolling in, so it's a little bit sloppy, so I don't think we're going to have a great night's sleep here. But that's okay, because it's just a passage anchorage. We're only stopping here to break up the trip from Concarneau down to the Gulf of Morbihan, which is 60 miles. So we've decided to do 2 30-mile days. So we'll stay the night here, but tomorrow morning we'll crack on and keep heading along the coast. As predicted, last night was really roly-poly with swell coming into the anchorage. So neither Danny nor myself slept particularly well. I think Danny's face says a lot up there. Yeah, unfortunately the anchorages we've had in France so far, and actually the marinas, none of them have been very sheltered from the swell. So the boat does just roll around a lot. But yeah, that's alright. Today we're sailing on to the Gulf of Morbihan, which is near a city called Vannes, so it should be about 6 hours away. So we fitted Bacchus with a new autopilot while we were in Brighton. It's a new Raymarine Evolution pilot, and this is sort of the first chance that we've had to really test out how it drives downwind. So the autopilot can tell which direction the wind's coming from, and what we want it to do is keep us sailing sort of square downwind but without jibing us. So I've currently got it set to the wind from 168 degrees, which is not quite dead aft. That will be 180, but it's reasonably deep, and the pilot seems to be doing quite a good job. We're sailing wing on wing with the Genoa and the main on opposite sides, and we've got about 14-15 knots of wind. We've had up to 19 on this little leg, but the pilot is doing quite a good job. We made it into the Gulf of Morbihan eventually. Quite an exciting entrance with a lot of tide. And we're now just tucked up in a cute little bay just behind this island, and we're well in the lee, very little wind, but you can still see the effects of the tide. I don't know if you can see this boat out there, but they're actually sailing backwards. So that is the effect of the tide out there in that channel.
Yeah.
There's another one going sideways down the channel.
We've been on the move a bit for the last few days. We obviously did a big sail from the UK, which was about 26 hours, and then the next day we sailed to Concano, and then we had a bit of a drama there with our visa, so everything was quite busy there. And then once the storm cleared from there, we moved on and we did a big day sail over to Ile de Gruy, and then we spent the night there, and now we've done a big day sail to what's it called? Morbihan, Gulf de Morbihan, but we're going to stay here for a couple of days, and it's a pretty nice spot. I'm looking forward to just having a little bit of downtime and not having to pick up the anchor tomorrow and go for another big long sail day, but no, it's looking pretty good behind us.
Oh man, how good is this, Danny?
It's so flat, it's so nice, we're not rolling around.
We're actually going to have a nice sleep in here, I think.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait to sleep tonight. It's going to be a whole 8 hours of bliss.
We've got one other boat for company over there, another English boat.
Welsh they are.
Oh, they're Welsh.
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Because they've got their Welsh and Euro flag hanging from their left
I see.
spreader.
They're a long way from Wales.
They've also got an ankle ball.
Classic English giveaway. Danny and I don't have an anchor ball.
Rebels.
We're rebels. We don't fly anchor balls.
Ah, this is nice.
So this is where we are. We've come from Brighton up here, down the English Channel, and down along the coast of Brittany. And so, if I zoom in here, we're actually, this is the Gulf of Morbihan. So as you can see here, it's got this narrow little entrance over here, and then it's this big inland sea of islands. So we've only really come in to the first little bit, really. There's the entrance over there, so we've just come in and we've anchored in the lee of this little island, but there's lots to explore in here. You can go all up around here, all up here, all down here. There's just an endless maze of little islands and little inlets to go and check out. So yeah, looks like a good little spot to cruise.
Sail.
What are we doing today, Danny?
We are setting up our dinghy as a little sailing boat for the first time. So
Here's the little dinghy down there.
Walker,
She's waiting for us.
and here are all of our bits that we need to turn her from a rowing boat into a little sailing boat. And then Ashley's going to have a go sailing her.
Sailing her, yeah. So we built Waka Waka just before we left Brighton with my mum and dad's help, and she's been a really good little rowing boat so far. But we actually also have a little sailing rig to go in her. So we're in the Gulf of Morbihan, and it's a good little spot for dinghy sailing, I think, because it's quite sheltered. The wind's quite gentle, the sea's quite flat. The only thing to watch out for is the really big tides that they have. But in this little bay where we are, it's pretty sheltered, and there's not too much tide. So we're going to try and put all these pieces here together into a little sailing rig. This is new task number 116 on Bacchus. We're trying to come up with a good way to get our beloved dinghy P Waka Waka up on deck. So there's P that you can see just down there behind us. It's a little bit windy, but we're going to try and lift her onto the foredeck. So she normally sits on those fenders upside down under the boom when we're sailing. So I've put out all the fenders that we've got on the side, and I've rigged a small bridle on P Waka Waka, and we're going to try and lift her up with the halyard and then flip her over and get her on the deck. So let's see how that goes. We're not having great luck with the weather in France at the moment. So we're still in the Gulf of Morbihan, but it is really snotty outside. I'll just poke my head out so you can see. But it's wet and it's raining, and the wind, the sea doesn't really tell the full story because it's sort of like an inland sea. So it doesn't really get any swell, but there's a lot of wind. There's about 25 knots blowing at the moment. So we've just had to move our anchorage to try and get somewhere with a bit more shelter, and also to try and find some internet reception for the dreaded work, which is happening tomorrow. So this is where we've gone. You can see where our little yellow dot started over here. That was where we were anchored at the Ile de Gruy, and then we've done that little yellow line, and we've come around and we're now anchored over here. So I'm sure it's a nice spot when the weather's not blowing cats and dogs and raining, but hopefully the rain will head off soon, and we can find out. When it's freezing cold and wet on Bacchus, we go for tinned tomato soup and cheesy wraps.
Real summery meal.
Which you can't beat on a cold wet day.
That's so good.
Danny's having a bath on the back of Bacchus. I think it's quite chilly in the wind listening to the noises that are coming from the back of the boat.
Even my hot bucket of water is not warming me up.
But it's a pretty beautiful evening. An amazing moon. I don't think Danny cares.
No, the moon looks great. It would just be nice if I was a bit warmer.
There's the moon. He's not quite full. He's about 3/4.
It's a really miserable morning outside, and if we weren't on a schedule then we would not be going out into this, but it's just grey and spitting, and we've got to have a wet weather gear on because we're going to get soaked by the end of today, but we are on a schedule. I've got a plane to catch back to London tomorrow, so we're leaving the Gulf de Morbihan, and we're heading to Pornic, which is over by a city called Non at the entrance of the Loire. So it's about a 50-mile sail, which is like a long day for us in the rain. But first we've got to get out of the Gulf de Morbihan, and we're on Springs at the moment, so we've heard that there's 9 knots of tide at the entrance, so we are going to fly out of there like a champagne cork. So that'll be fun, but yeah, we're just going to be drowned rats by the end of the day, but hey ho.
And he's going to be steering us through the little entrance between Dumont and Berber, which is that little gap just there, and that's where we get the really ferocious tides. So there's the little gap coming up. It's through there.
So it's 10 o'clock. We're about half an hour later than what we thought, although we thought we'd start at 9:30, didn't we? So actually we're probably bang on time.
Yeah.
We're just coming out of the entrance, so we'll probably get a little bit more swell happening shortly. It's still miserable.
But we haven't hit anything.
No, we haven't. Right, well we're out the entrance. It all got a bit manic towards the end and some very choppy, steep waves. And we should have followed the boat in front of us because they were obviously a local and they sort of knew to go close to the edge and get out of the shit. But anyway, it was a bit of fun. We couldn't put the main up because we were flying all over the place. But we've got all the sails up now and the sea's flattened off and we've got a little bit of wind. So we're doing about 5 knots. Exciting part of our afternoon. A really average sail today. The wind is just a bit shit and so we've had to put the main down and our jib's just flogging away and it's got really rolly in the ocean and quite glary, although it has cleared up a bit now. Before we couldn't see anything but now you can see behind me. Got to land over there. Got about another 4 hours of this. Not the funnest day of sailing. So my French is terrible and my radio skills are pretty poor. So combining the two to try and call in the marina in France is currently one of my least favourite things to do. Here you go. Port de Pornic, this is yacht Bacchus. Bacchus, over. Pornic Marina, parlez-vous anglais? Over?
Yeah, we do.
Perfect. We have a berth booked for 6 nights. We are 11 metres long. The name is Bacchus. Could you advise us where to go, please? Over.
Okay, can you tell me how wide is your boat, please?
Yes, our width is 3.8 metres. That's 3.8.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll be at the entrance to welcome you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Back us out.
So we've made it to Pornic. Had showers and we've done a load of laundry and we're feeling quite clean and fresh and now we're off out to dinner, so a bit of a treat. It's nice to be ashore again.
Yeah. On our next episode, I leave Asher to fend for himself while I go back to London. We leave Pornic for Ile de Gruy and we do our biggest sail yet across the fearsome Bay of Biscay to Spain.